Two cops accused of beating up a transsexual inside a jail in Memphis, Tennessee. The woman is calling it a hate crime and plans to sue the city.
There's actually surveillance video of the February 12th confrontation, Jane, and this is from the Memphis affiliate WMC. Dwana Johnson is a transsexual who was in jail because she'd been arrested on a prostitution complaint. Johnson says that an officer called her names, then started hitting her, and a second officer held her down while the first repeatedly struck her. She says she eventually hit back. Well, the officer claims he was acting in self-defense after Johnson assaulted him. Again, the department is conducting an internal investigation. The charges against Johnson were dropped. She's demanding $1.3 million in damages from the city.
What she is saying that she apparently was waiting to be fingerprinted, and one of the officers started calling her names and said, "No, I'm not coming over to get fingerprinted because that's not my name." He allegedly walked over to her with some handcuffs in his hand over his knuckles and allegedly struck her up to 3 times and then maced her or pepper sprayed her there in the booking area. So there had to be a number of witnesses. We see the video right here. It's hard to see whether there is actually a handcuff in that officer's hand, if that's the one that had the handcuff.
Jennifer Brandt, family law attorney, why are these officers not facing charges? It's caught on tape.
Well, I think they will be facing charges. I think the whole police department is going to be facing charges if the demands aren't met.
Now, get this. We have some sound of Dwana Johnson, the transsexual who's arrested and says she was beaten. Let's listen to what she has to say.
He was trying to get me to come over to where he was, and I responded by telling him that that wasn't my name. My mother didn't name me a or he, she. So he got upset and approached me, and that's when it started.
Now, let's go to the psychiatrist, Dr. Henry Paul. Assuming for a moment, and I'm not saying this is actually happening, but assuming for a moment that what she's saying is true, what does that say about these officers' attitude towards sexuality?
Well, I think, look, all of us watching this segment know that a transsexual is going to be a taunted individual. I mean, here in New York, where there are many transsexuals and other big urban areas, they are victims of tremendous amount of abuse and prejudice. You know, men in this country in particular are very, very possessive of their male and masculine identity, and a transsexual really threatens people psychologically. They're blurring gender roles. So I don't know whether the cops hit first or whether she provoked. I think what's of interest here is that it's not at all unusual that someone, a transsexual or someone like that, will be beaten. And they're beaten mercilessly all the time.
By the way, we have a statement from the police department. The Memphis Police Department does not condone any misconduct of a police officer, and they add they're conducting a thorough internal investigation, and a full and impartial hearing will be held with the accused officer. I want to go back to the psychiatrist. Why does a transsexual threaten other people's sexuality?
Well,
why do they care?
Men particularly, some women too, but men in particular are a little bit less than perfectly secure in our society. And when we see homosexuals, if we're straight, or if we see transsexuals or transvestites, anything that kind of makes masculinity not 100% pure or well-defined.
But don't you think that's the people with insecurity about their masculinity?
Yeah, but I think that this insecurity that we talk about is pretty massive and pretty universal and ubiquitous in our society. I wouldn't say every man again, but I'd say many, many men, especially the younger the man, and the less stable he is with his identity, is threatened somewhat. That's why we have so many jokes about gays and lesbians and transgenders, and that's why these people are victimized so much, and that's why they need the protection